Today on the channel, the Benelli Nova. Let's go. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we are taking a look at what I think is a solid choice in the affordable shotgun category, the Benelli Nova Tactical. The 12-gauge shotgun has long been a staple for the American firearm owner because of its versatility and adaptability. It's commonly thought of as a home defense weapon, but in various configurations, it's equally capable as a hunting weapon, a recreational weapon, or even as a competitive weapon. Additionally, its ability to run different types of ammunition loads makes it a very adaptable platform, regardless of its configuration. Benelli has been in the firearms industry for decades now, and they are well known for the quality of their shotguns. The semi-automatic Benelli M4 has become a staple with law enforcement and military organizations the world over, renowned for its durability and reliability. This model, the pump-action Nova, has been in production since 1999, and it remains a phenomenal value not just for a Benelli, but for shotguns in general. This, again, is the tactical model, and it has an overall length of 39.75 inches and unloaded weight of about 7 pounds, according to Benelli. It's chambered for 12-gauge shot shells, and it can accommodate 2.75-inch, 3-inch, and 3.5-inch shells. MSRP for this Nova Tactical is $450, and I got this one for a little bit less than that at about $400. Of course, the Nova also comes in other configurations with longer barrels and different finishes that tailor it towards specific use cases. One very distinct feature of the Nova series is the extensive use of polymer in the receiver and the buttstock. While the inside of the receiver both contains and is reinforced by steel, the outer casing is entirely polymer. Moreover, the receiver and the buttstock, as you can see, is all one piece. This is likely a cost-saving measure, as the more expensive Supernova has a receiver and buttstock that are two separate pieces. The buttstock is fitted with a rubber recoil pad, and it offers a 14.25-inch length of pull to the trigger. For those that are interested, the stock also has a 1.25-inch drop at the comb and 2.25-inch drop at the heel. The stock also features an integrated sling swivel mount on the underside here. Moving forward, the grip has very nice texturing by the way of these slots that are molded into it that work a lot better than they would seem to at first glance. I took the Nova out during the hottest days of August, and even with sweaty hands, I was able to keep a good secure grip on it. The trigger shoe is made of polymer, and it's got a crossbolt safety with an action release lever, both being mounted forward of the trigger guard on the right side of the weapon here. The trigger action is pretty typical of a pump action shotgun with minimal take up. It's got a defined break and very little over travel, and a short audible reset when the action is run. Okay, let's take a second to demo that trigger action actually. Let me open up the action here and verify that we are clear. Close that up. So we have just a little bit of take up right there, a very nice wall, short trigger action, and if we run the action, a very, very short reset. While we're on the subject of the trigger, let's go ahead and take a second and measure out the pull weight of the trigger as well. I've got the action run and I've got my trigger gauge here. So let's check it out. That one comes out to a little bit above 6 pounds. That one is just under 7 pounds. Again, just a hair under 7 pounds. Forward of the trigger group on the underside of the receiver is the loading gate for the magazine tube. The loading ramp has been coated in this nice color, which I think also actually makes it a little bit more slick so that shells slide down it a little bit easier. The ramp pushes up out of the way to reveal the magazine tube follower, which is there. It's a bright red color so you can see when the magazine tube is empty. The tube holds 4 shells, bringing the total capacity of the Nova to 5 rounds fully loaded with 1 in the chamber. The forward end of the tube has another integrated sling swivel mount right there, and it's got a ratcheting screw down cap. The cap, let me take this off actually, also has this small polymer tip molded into it, if you can see that there, and that's actually what you use to push out the trigger pins to take down the weapon. The Nova's pump action forend is textured with the same surprisingly effective pattern that's found on the grip. It's an extended length forend, which makes it easier to run the action for people like me who have shorter arms. The forend is wider here at the rear with a little bit of a finger relief, and then it's narrow here at the front with a more defined area for fingers. It's also got this cutout here that forms a bit of a shelf that you can use to get a little more leverage on the action to run it. Now, the Nova's party piece is definitely the magazine tube override button, which is located on the bottom of the forend here. You can see it's textured a little differently from the rest of the forend, so it's easy to distinguish without having to look for it visually. You can just feel the change in texture there. What this does, when you push the button and run the action, the Nova will override its magazine tube and will not feed another round from the tube, even if there are rounds still in the tube. This allows the shooter to drop in a round manually into the chamber while there's still ammunition left in the tube. This can be useful if the shooter needs to quickly switch ammunition types for the next shot. For example, if the tube is loaded with buckshot, but the shooter wants to shoot a slug, they can override the magazine with that button and drop a slug straight into the chamber without having to empty the magazine to do it. Now, just so you see how this works, I'm going to demo the magazine tube override here. I've got a snap cap. I'm going to drop that into the loading gate, into the magazine tube. Now, I'm going to open up the action and I'm going to push the button and run the action. As you can see, it did not pop up around from the magazine tube. And I can close the action, pull the trigger, and now if I run the action without pushing the button, it pops the round in from the magazine tube. So far we've talked about features that are common to all Novas, but again, this being the tactical model, it's got a few things that are not found on other Novas. One of those is the barrel. It's running an 18.5-inch barrel and it's finished in this matte blued finish, and I think it complements the matte finish of the polymer furniture and receiver here. Again, it's chambered in 12 gauge and can accept 2 3/4, 3-inch, and 3.5-inch shot shells. The barrel has a fixed choke, meaning that it's not threaded to accept replaceable chokes. Another feature that is specific to the tactical model are the sighting system, specifically the ghost ring sights here on the back and the front. These are adjustable for windage and elevation by adjusting the rear sight by the screws on the top and on the right side here. This rear sight is screwed into the receiver and it is removable, but I did note that the holes are not far enough apart to install a piece of Picatinny rail to mount an optic instead of this rear sight. I also noted, as you can see, that the receiver is otherwise not optic ready, so in order to mount something, it would need to be drilled and tapped to accept a rail or an optic mount or something like that. I've had about 200 rounds through this Nova so far with a pretty even mix of double-aught buckshot, 1-ounce slugs, birdshot, and some random target loads. I've run loads from a bunch of manufacturers, from Remington and Winchester to Fiocchi and Federal, and even some old Herders I found in the bottom of my ammo can. Most of the target loads and birdshot have been low brass 2 3/4-inch shells, while the buckshot and slugs have been mostly 3-inch shells, with a few boxes of 3.5-inch Winchester Super X mixed in there as well. As I would expect from a pump gun, and from a Benelli in particular, the Nova has been 100% reliable with everything that I've run through it. I cleaned and lubed it when I first got it, but I haven't cleaned it at all since. The action's never gotten stuck or slowed down or even gotten gritty to the point where it takes a little more effort to run. Nothing like that. It's just been consistently reliable all the time with a smooth and easy action. Nothing has worked itself loose, nothing's broken off, and the sights have stayed zero. The only appreciable wear and tear on it are these small marks on the barrel that I'm not sure where they came from, maybe from getting tossed around in my safe or something like that. So as far as reliability is concerned, I would have no problems at all trusting my life to this in a home defense role. Even if it's dirty or treated roughly or it just spends its entire life in the back of a closet gathering dust, I know that it would run perfectly if and when I need it. As far as the rest of the weapon, there are a number of things that I like about it. The Nova is easy to handle with comfortable ergonomics, even for someone that's smaller in stature and has shorter arms like me. I particularly like the extended forend and the texturing on the forend and the grip, and the arrangement of controls on the trigger guard. I particularly like the ghost ring sights. They fall right into my natural line of sight when I shoulder the weapon, and they pick up very easy during quick follow-up shots. Of course, no gun is perfect, and the Nova has a few things that I do not like about it. All of them are centered around the buttstock. First of these is the length of pull. At 14 1/4 inches, it's a little bit on the long side for me. It's still comfortable and I can still run it, but I do wish that it were just a little bit shorter. Adding to this difficulty is the fact that I can't replace the buttstock with something a little bit shorter because, again, that receiver and buttstock are all one piece of polymer. Again, the Supernova solves this with a 2-piece arrangement, but it's also about $100 more expensive on average. Finally, the rubber butt pad on the Nova is, in a word, terrible. It's a grippy rubber so that it sticks to your shoulder well, but it's also hard as a rock and it does absolutely nothing to absorb recoil of any kind. This is especially apparent when running those hot 3.5-inch Super X's. After like 5 of those with this butt pad, I've pretty much had my fill for the day. So that's it, the PT review of the Benelli Nova Tactical 12-gauge pump action shotgun. This is a solidly made, super reliable shotgun with some very unique features that comes in at what I think is a very reasonable value for dollar ratio. This would make an excellent home defense shotgun, and I would not hesitate to recommend this to anyone who's looking for a solid shotgun on a budget. If you're interested in picking up an Nova for yourself, check out the description for a link to the blog where I put all the links for everything I talk about in my videos. If you like this video or you're interested in upcoming videos, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. If you know someone that's looking for a good home defense shotgun on a budget and they're looking for something other than, a Mossberg 500 or a Remington 870, share them this video. Throw me a like if you appreciate what I'm doing, and let me know in the comments what other shotguns you want to see in upcoming videos. Do me a favor and ring that bell on your way out too. It really helps get these videos out to more people. Anyways, that's all I've got for you this time, so until next time, stay safe.